Chapter 1 inch. I've seen cats get down from higher places, I muttered, standing at the base of the old school auditorium building, staring up at my best friend who was currently one misplaced toe away from becoming a pancake. Cats don't do yoga. Tasha shouted back, swinging one leg up like she was auditioning for Cirque du Soleil. This is called elevated enlightenment. Also, can you angle your phone up a bit? I need a dramatic shot for my thumbnail. Yes, because that's the priority right now. I should mention that the building she'd climbed, without permission, safety gear, or a single rational thought, had been condemned last year. The janitor literally put a "do not enter, risk of sudden collapse" sign on the door, and Tasha read that as exclusive rooftop access. I thought we agreed. No more rooftops after the pigeon incident, I said. But that wasn't my fault. How was I supposed to know pigeons don't like interpretive dance? Before I could argue further, the rope she tied to a rusty pipe creaked like it had just remembered it was 100 years old. "Oh no," she whispered. "Oh no," I echoed. Then the pipe snapped. Tasha yelped, the rope fell. And I dove forward like a dramatic slow-motion scene in a disaster movie. Thankfully, she only dropped a few feet before landing flat on top of me like a human anvil. My spine is now a pancake, I wheezed, face down on the grass. "Nailed it," she cheered, holding her phone triumphantly. "Also, are we running?" Why would we be run? Wee-oo. The building's ancient security alarm blared to life like a banshee with a personal grudge. A glowing red light started flashing. A voice from a hidden speaker squawked, "Intruder alert. Authorities notified." Tasha's eyes widened. "Okay, new plan. We run like squirrels being chased by lawnmowers." "You seriously need better metaphors?" I groaned. Grabbing her arm, we sprinted across the schoolyard, ducking behind bushes, tripping over garden hoses, and trying to avoid being caught on the janitor's suspiciously new security cameras. By the time we made it to my house, both of us were out of breath and Tasha had grass in her ponytail. "I think that went well," she said, grinning like a maniac. "You almost died. And now we're possibly wanted criminals." She shrugged. "All part of the process." I looked at her, this beautiful disaster of a human, and sighed. "Next time, we're just doing puzzles." Chapter 2, let me be very clear. I did not agree to fake a fire drill. That was entirely Tasha's idea. I was just the poor soul caught holding her glitter-covered backpack when it happened. It all started in math class. Mr. Benson was mid-rant about how fractions are the foundation of the universe, and Tasha had that dangerous glint in her eye, the one that usually ends in property damage. She leaned toward me and whispered, "If I have to calculate one more hypothetical pizza slice, I'll combust." "You already did that in chemistry last month." That was different. That Bunsen burner had attitude. Then she pulled out her phone, opened her notes app, and showed me a to-do list. At the top, 1. Escape math point 2. Cause minor chaos point 3. Eat cookie. Step 1 is about to happen, she whispered, eyes locked on the shiny red fire alarm just outside the door. "Tasha, no. That's not a let's pull it because math sucks button. That's a flames are licking my shoelaces button." She grinned. "Exactly. Let's test if it works." Before I could physically tackle her, or at least launch a convincing guilt trip speech, she was gone. Slipped out the side door like a ninja with questionable priorities. 10 seconds later, bzzzzzzz. Wea, chaos. Immediate, glorious chaos. Students screamed. Desks flipped. Someone yelled, "Aliens," for no reason. Mr. Benson dropped his dry erase marker and muttered, "Not again." Outside, we huddled on the school lawn, teachers doing frantic head counts while Tasha casually strolled over with a cookie in hand. "You pulled the alarm, didn't you?" I asked. She took a huge bite. "I prefer the term emergency enthusiast. Do you even know how much trouble you could get in?" "Not yet," she said cheerfully. "But we'll find out together." Just then, Principal Garcia stormed past us, walkie-talkie in hand. "The fire department is on the way. This better not be another prank." Tasha casually turned her hoodie inside out. "Guess we're laying low today." I stared at her in disbelief. "You're unbelievable." She smirked. "You love it." And she's not wrong. I love her like you love a puppy who just chewed your shoes. You're mad, but you'd still defend them in court, which is probably something I should start preparing for. Chapter 3, if there was ever a moment that perfectly summed up why I both adored and feared Tasha. It was the afternoon she decided to become a mad scientist, or, as she called it, an aspiring love alchemist. It all started in her basement, which had somehow transformed overnight into a lab featuring a suspiciously moldy kettle, a collection of questionable herbs from her grandma's garden, and enough empty mason jars to stock a hipster cafe. Okay, hear me out, Tasha said, eyes sparkling with the kind of reckless optimism that should be illegal. Love potions are real. Or at least, they should be. And today, we're going to make one. I raised an eyebrow as she handed me a mug filled with something that smelled like old socks mixed with peppermint. Drink up. This is Infused Heart's Desire Tea. Guaranteed to make anyone fall for you. Or, at the very least, make you smell like you do. You know I'm not falling for your science experiments after last time, I warned, recalling the great glitter incident of last year that had me sparkling for days. Tasha, you're not giving that to me. Relax, she said, stirring the pot with a wooden spoon like she was about to perform a ritual. We're just testing it on Mr. Jenkins. Mr. Jenkins was the gym teacher. Big, loud, and famous for his motivational speeches that sounded suspiciously like a wrestler's promo. Perfect target for Tasha's love potion. I tried to protest, but Tasha had already slipped the steaming cup into his hand when he came in for water during our lunch break. The next day, school was a circus. First, Mr. Jenkins burst into the cafeteria yelling, "Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your protein bars," in the middle of a very confused lunch line. Then he started quoting Shakespeare. "A lot, like a lot, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Nay, for the vending machine hath forsaken me." Students whispered and laughed while the principal looked like he was trying to decide if it was a medical emergency or just another Tasha special. I cornered Tasha behind the bleachers. "Did you put something in his tea?" She nodded proudly. 100%. "You have to admit, it's impressive." "It's chaotic," I said, watching Mr. Jenkins dramatically bow to an empty hallway. Also, he's really into poetry now. I think we made a cultured gym teacher. That's terrifying. For the rest of the week, Mr. Jenkins alternated between reciting sonnets during dodgeball and challenging us to duel with foam noodles. Somehow, the chaos didn't stop there. Tasha's love potion experiment became the talk of the school, not because anyone fell in love, but because Mr. Jenkins started writing love letters to the cafeteria trays when the principal banned herbal concoctions from campus. Tasha shrugged and declared, "The heart wants what the heart wants." I sighed, mentally adding love potion mishap to the growing list of why my life felt like a sitcom directed by a caffeine-fueled squirrel. Yet, despite the mess, despite the headaches, and despite the occasional embarrassment, I wouldn't trade a second of it. Because with Tasha, every disaster was a new story waiting to happen. Chapter 4, if there was ever a battle that tested my patience and Tasha's sheer determination, it was the time she declared war on the school vending machine. It all started innocently enough. Tasha wanted a snack. Not just any snack, but the legendary double chocolate chip cookie that supposedly resided behind the glass like a treasure locked away from mere mortals. She fed the machine her coins, pressed the button, and waited. Nothing. The cookie didn't budge. It just sat there, smugly perched on the metal spiral, mocking her like a villain in a cheesy cartoon. Tasha narrowed her eyes. This is an act of betrayal. I rolled my eyes but watched as she whipped out her toolkit, a bizarre collection of random items she insisted were essential for any vending machine intervention. There was a fork, a shoelace, some chewing gum, and a hairpin she swore was technological magic. She poked, prodded, and jiggled the machine like it was a slot machine in Vegas. "See? Just needs a little love," she said. Then, with a triumphant grin, she yanked the coin slot open, which promptly set off an alarm that sounded like a dying robot. The vending machine blinked ominously, and suddenly, the lights went out. Total blackout. A voice crackled over the PA system. Security breach detected in the cafeteria. Please remain calm." Chaos erupted. Students screamed. Teachers rushed to find the source of the threat. Someone tried to unplug the machine and failed. Meanwhile, Tasha was frantically trying to jam the coin slot closed with chewing gum while whispering, "No machine controls me. I control the machine." I tugged at her sleeve. "We need to get out before the entire school goes into lockdown." She nodded solemnly. "Agreed. Operation Cookie Retrieval is compromised. Abort mission." As we dashed through the dark halls, I couldn't help but laugh. Only Tasha could turn a vending machine into a full-blown school crisis. Later that day, the principal sent an email reminding students not to tamper with school property. Tasha just shrugged and replied, "I was negotiating peace terms." I facepalmed, wondering what fresh disaster awaited us tomorrow. Chapter 5, when Tasha casually announced, "I'm gonna be the school mascot for the big game," I thought, finally, something normal. If you know Tasha, normal is just a setting on the washing machine she once ignored entirely, resulting in 3 weeks of mismatched laundry. The mascot was called Benny the Bear, a giant fuzzy costume that looked more like a confused pineapple with claws. The kind of costume that probably weighed at least 50 pounds and smelled faintly of old pizza. "I just have to wear this thing and hype the crowd," Tasha said with the confidence of a superhero. "Easy job." I raised a skeptical eyebrow. "Have you even tried it on?" "Manuals are for quitters," she replied, tossing me a small pamphlet with instructions she clearly didn't read. Game day arrived, and I found Tasha backstage, wrestling with the costume like it was an angry beast. The headpiece was stuck fast, no amount of tugging or pleating seemed to budge it. You okay in there?" I asked. "Fine. Just breathe through the nose hole," she muttered, muffled by layers of foam and fur. Once inside, Tasha was nearly blind. The eye holes were so small she could only see the world as if through 2 tiny keyholes, perfect for sneaking up on the opposing team, she joked. Then the unexpected happened. She accidentally hit the activation button for the suit's built-in sprinkler system, a feature no one warned me about but somehow exists to keep mascots cool. Instead of cooling, the sprinklers unleashed a full-on indoor rainstorm inside the costume. Tasha went from dry to drenched in under 5 seconds. "Help!" Her muffled voice squeaked as water sprayed out like a fire hose. She stumbled out onto the field, waving at the crowd like a soggy, malfunctioning robot. Half the audience roared with laughter. The other half started waving their phones to call 911 with exaggerated gestures. She tried to do the official mascot dance, but the soaked costume became a slippery trap. Then disaster number 2. She tripped over the cheerleaders' pom-poms, which were conveniently scattered across the field. She flailed, arms windmilling, before accidentally tackling the quarterback, who was mid-play. The referee's whistle screeched like a banshee as the crowd went wild. Mostly with laughter, some with shock, I sprinted to the sidelines, fighting back laughter. "Are you okay?" Tasha gave a soggy thumbs up, then promptly face-planted into the grass like a wet sack of potatoes. BY halftime. The coach looked like he'd seen a ghost. The principal was frantically calling for backup, and the mascot costume had been temporarily banned from the premises. Backstage, Tasha shook her wet head and declared, "Mascot life is not for quitters." I just sighed, silently vowing to avoid volunteering her for anything that involved costumes, crowds, or water. But knowing Tasha, the next disaster was probably just a few hours away. Chapter 6, if there's one thing you should know about Tasha, it's this. She firmly believes YouTube tutorials can solve any problem, including, apparently, my hair. It all started one lazy Saturday afternoon. We were binge-watching silly videos when Tasha suddenly sat upright. "I've got it. A complete hair makeover. You're overdue." I blinked. I kind of like my hair as it is." That's what you think. But this is about self-expression and bold choices. Before I could protest, she'd pulled out an arsenal of beauty supplies that looked like the aftermath of a Black Friday sale. Bright neon hair dye, scissors, brushes, and something called hair chalk. I swallowed nervously as she tied a ridiculous pink cape around me and declared, "Step 1, bleach. Bleach. For my hair." which, up to that point, had never seen a chemical stronger than shampoo. She slathered the bleach on with the enthusiasm of a chef frosting a cake, except this cake was my head. Okay, how long do we wait? I asked, eyeing the clock, until your hair looks like a unicorn's daydream. An hour later, my head felt like it was on fire. And my hair? More yellow than white, with a weird green tint that screamed, "What have you done?" But Tasha was undeterred. Next up, neon blue dye. She squeezed the dye into my hair like an artist painting a masterpiece. It looked promising until she realized she forgot gloves. "Oh no," she said, staring at her bright blue fingers. "Tell me you're not going to touch my face with those." Oops. By the time she finished, my bathroom looked like a color explosion. The sink was neon, the towels were spotted, and Tasha's cat was suspiciously blue around the ears. Then came the haircut. Tasha decided layers were in, and before I knew it, she was snipping away, eyes covered by those crazy hairdresser glasses that made her look like a mad scientist. I sat frozen, hoping for the best, but bracing for the worst. When she finally put down the scissors, I took one look in the mirror, and my hair was uneven, jagged, and had at least 3 different shades of blue and green. It looked like a mythical creature that had survived a tornado. I tried to smile. "Well, it's definitely unique." Tasha grinned. "You're a trendsetter now." The next day at school, everyone stared. Some whispered. One brave kid asked if I was from another planet. Even the principal commented, "That's a very creative hairstyle." Despite the chaos, I couldn't help but laugh. With Tasha, even a simple hairdo was an adventure. Chapter 7. You'd think after the hair fiasco, Tasha might take a break from DIY disasters. Nope. This time, it was baking. "I'm going to make the best cake the school's ever seen," she announced one morning, wielding a recipe that looked like it was ripped from a 1950s cookbook, but with handwritten notes like "add a pinch of magic." I was skeptical but agreed to help, mostly to make sure we didn't burn down the kitchen. Step 1. Gather ingredients. Tasha's shopping list included flour, sugar, eggs, butter, and, wait for it, a dash of unicorn sparkles. Unicorn sparkles. Real or metaphorical? I wasn't sure till we started mixing. Tasha took over with the enthusiasm of a mad scientist. Flour flew everywhere, on the counters, on the floor, on my shirt, and probably in my hair. When she cracked the eggs, one went straight on the floor, and she just shrugged. "It's organic fertilizer now." We poured the batter into the pan, which I swear was more like a volcano eruption than a cake tin. The kitchen looked like a flour bomb had exploded. Into the oven it went. 10 minutes later, smoke started to fill the kitchen. "I think it's supposed to do that," Tasha said calmly. The cake was rising, and then, suddenly, exploding over the sides like a lava flow. Alarm bells went off. I grabbed oven mitts, yanked the pan out, and watched the cake collapse into a sad, gooey mess. But the disaster didn't end there. Tasha, ever the optimist, decided to fix the cake with frosting. Lots of frosting. She slapped on so much icing it looked like a sugar avalanche. We carried it to school, where it instantly became the center of attention, mostly because it looked like a cake that had survived a tornado. When someone asked to try a slice, Tasha proudly said, "It's an acquired taste." I took a tiny bite. It tasted like a sugar rush mixed with, well, disaster. Yet somehow, that cake brought the whole school together, mostly laughing, but hey, laughter is the best dessert. Chapter 8. If you think losing your homework is bad, try losing it, and discovering your best friend might have accidentally, or not so accidentally, helped it vanish into thin air. It all started on a Monday morning when I proudly pulled out my perfectly completed math assignment, only to find it missing. "Wait, where's my homework?" I panicked. Tasha gave me a guilty grin. "About that, I may have used your homework for an art project." I blinked. "Art project?" She nodded. "Yeah, I turned your math paper into a paper airplane. It was the best one I'd ever made." I stared at her. "You're kidding." "Totally serious. It soared 3 classrooms down." "Great. So, my math homework was now airborne somewhere in the school hallway. We launched a full-scale investigation, interviewing classmates and teachers with the seriousness of FBI agents. The janitor claimed he'd seen a suspicious paper airplane stuck in the ceiling fan. The principal was less amused, muttering something about educational sabotage. By the end of the day, we tracked down my homework, crumpled and slightly drooled on under a bench near the cafeteria. Tasha apologized profusely but couldn't resist making one more paper airplane. This time, I made her promise. No more homework casualties. She saluted. Scout's honor. I nodded, but deep down, I knew with Tasha around, Scout's honor was just another adventure waiting to happen. Chapter 9, Losing a phone is stressful. Losing your phone and having your best friend help you find it? Well, that's like adding a live comedy show to your everyday chaos. IT all started on a Thursday afternoon. I was about to join an important group chat where the entire class was debating if pineapple belonged on pizza. Spoiler, it definitely does. When I reached for my phone, and it wasn't there. Panic mode. On. I tore through my backpack, dumped the contents on my bed, and even checked the usual hiding spots. Under the couch cushions, on the kitchen counter, inside the fridge, because you never know where Tasha might have stashed it. Nada. Enter Tasha, my professional finder, who arrived with the energy of a detective on a crime scene. She whipped out a magnifying glass, borrowed from some old board game, and a flashlight. Then, she pulled out a tiny notebook, scribbling notes furiously like we were on a top-secret mission. Step 1. Check all possible locations, she declared seriously. First, we checked my backpack again, because twice is better than once, right? Still empty. Next, we crawled under the couch, our faces inches from the floor, only to recoil in horror when we found a mysterious collection of old snacks, coins, and, wait, is that a missing sock? EW, not the phone. Then, for some reason, Tasha insisted on checking the bathroom, convinced my phone might be taking a shower. No luck. The phone was nowhere to be found. Suddenly, inspiration struck. What about the laundry? She asked, eyes wide. Now, if you know Tasha, laundry is basically a black hole for anything important. We opened the washing machine, only to find it filled with soggy clothes, a half-melted candy wrapper, and suspicious green fuzz that looked like it came from a monster's sweater. I held my breath as she plunged her hand inside and triumphantly pulled out. Nothing, but wait, there was a faint buzzing. Tasha's phone. She'd lost her phone too. Cue a panic spiral that turned into full-on chaos. Now both our phones were missing. We searched everywhere, calling each other's numbers from the ancient landline phone we keep in the kitchen, ringing until our fingers were numb. We retraced every step, from the living room to the backyard. Interrogated my little brother, have you seen these two sacred devices? And even bribed the family dog with treats to sniff out the missing phones. At one point, Tasha was crawling under the dining table, accidentally knocking over a vase that shattered spectacularly. Sorry. It's a tactical move, she claimed. Finally, the breakthrough.my phone was found chilling, literally, in the freezer. No idea how it got there. Maybe I was hungry, grabbed it absent-mindedly, and put it down while grabbing ice cream. Who knows? Tasha's phone was less frozen but far wetter, trapped in a damp sock in the laundry basket. We spent the next hour trying to dry our phones with a hairdryer, crossing our fingers like surgeons waiting for test results. The phone sputtered, blinked, and then came back to life. Victory. Exhausted, we flopped onto the couch, laughing so hard tears streamed down our faces. Next time, I said, let's just stick to looking for snacks. Tasha nodded solemnly. Phones are way too sneaky for our own good. And with that, I knew the chaos was far from over. Chapter 10, you know those moments when you think, okay, today will be normal? Yeah, forget those. Because with Tasha, normal flew out the window the second she called me in a panic. Get over here, now. Her voice crackled through the phone. I arrived at her apartment, heart pounding. What disaster awaited me today? I looked up, and there she was, dangling off the rooftop balcony by one hand. One very panicked, flailing hand. How did you even get up there? I yelled. She gave me her signature sheepish grin. Long story. Short version, I was trying to retrieve my phone. Again. And the ladder broke. Again. I gasped. Yeah, remember how we found your phone in the freezer last week? This time, it was mine that got stuck on the roof. I stared at her dangling like a cartoon character, one shoe missing and the other threatening to slip off. Okay, stay calm. I'm going to get help, I said, frantically scanning the street below for anyone who could help. Just then, an old man walking his dog stopped and looked up. Excuse me, sir, I called out. Could you call the fire department? My best friend is about to become a very memorable headline. The man nodded and pulled out his phone. Within minutes, the neighborhood was buzzing with flashing lights, sirens, and firefighters sliding down poles like pros in a sitcom. Meanwhile, Tasha kept chatting nonchalantly. I told you, it's just a ladder and a phone. Nothing big. I wasn't so sure. The firefighters arrived and quickly set up a safety net. One brave firefighter climbed up the building, inching toward Tasha. She reached out her hand and gave a dramatic sigh of relief when he grabbed it, back on solid ground. She gave me a thumbs up. See? Nothing to worry about. I gave her the look, the one that says you are unbelievable. That evening, we sat on her couch, nursing bruises and nursing a newfound respect for gravity. So I said, maybe next time. Don't go chasing phones on rooftops. Tasha grinned mischievously. Where's the fun in that? And I laughed, knowing this would just be another wild story in our endless saga of chaos. Epilogue. Just another day with Tasha. A week later, life was back to normal, or as normal as it gets when your best friend is a walking disaster zone. Tasha and I sat in our favorite cafe, sipping ridiculously overpriced coffee and laughing about the latest rooftop rescue. I swear, I said, you could probably get a reality show out of all your mishaps. She grinned. Reality show? More like Chaos Chronicles. As usual, she pulled out her phone, safely away from Rooftop.